Busy, all got together.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we have the consent agenda in front of us.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Shay, second by Jorgensen to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. First up, we have Matt Wyatt, Director, Planning and Development, public hearing on proposed preliminary plat of Pablo's Addition, a subdivision situated in Garner Township, and to approve and authorize the board to sign planning and zoning resolution number 2024-08.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Right, we are a motion by Belt, second by Shay to open the public hearing on planning and zoning resolution 2024-08. Melvin, will you call the roll, please? Aye.
Supervisors Wickman.
Aye.
Bill,
Right.
Shay. Aye. Jorgensen. Aye.
We are now in public meeting, public hearing. Thank you.
This is for a minor subdivision that's located off of 205th Street. There's a proposal for 4 lots on there that would be serviced by water. We do have Chad Taylor here, who represents this subdivision request, if you all have any questions of him.
Right, we are now in public hearing, so is there anyone in the public who would like to speak in favor of this project?
My name is Chad Taylor. I'm here on behalf of myself and Jerry Purcell,
Give your address.
1326 North Broadway, County Bluffs. Just looking to do a minor sub on 205th and Honeysuckle. Got 4 acreages out there, 2 of them sold. What I'm looking to do,
What's your last name? Taylor?
Taylor.
All right. How's your driveway's gonna come in there?
We have 2 that'll come off of 205th. The 2 on top of the hill will come from a driveway outlot that'll service both the top acreages and the farm itself. There's a portion of the farm left over, about 70 acres we'll have to access.
How wide would that be?
66 feet.
Okay.
But maybe, there's ever a possibility for future development out that way. We want to make our roadway big enough to access something.
Matt, on the plot plan, it's showing that the roadway is 50-foot wide. Is that not right?
Correct, on the outline, you're right on what you're saying. We did put a condition in there on the resolution for today that outlot A shall be 66 feet wide upon the final plat submission.
This is on rural water, right?
Correct.
Is there enough water pressure there to serve those lots?
I did check with Tom Coleman from Regional Water, and he says that there is enough pressure to service these 4 acreages that are there, and that they're actually looking at the potential of adding in a water tower in that area.
These lots come right before me, so if they take all my water, I won't.
It's a sizable water line that runs that way. I mean, I was surprised to hear that it's a 10-inch water main that runs up 205th Street there.
You may need to abstain.
You have a creek behind your house.
You've got a vested interest. The water's already there.
I know.
There.
I sold it to you.
As long as you can shower.
All right,
We don't care about anything else.
Is there anyone else in the public who'd like to speak in favor of this project? Mitch, do you see anyone online that would like to participate? Okay, is there anyone in the public who would like to speak against this project?
Some closed public hearing.
Second.
Melvin, will you call the roll, please?
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
Supervisors Jorgensen,
Aye.
Shay,
Aye.
Bell, Wickman.
One more question, Mr. Taylor, is
Yes, sir.
that a road? What's gonna be the surface of that road coming in?
Initially, what we'll have is a crushed asphalt road. I got one customer on top of the hill. It's building a house or building a building as we speak. When that's done and he builds on it, we'll probably chip coat it.
Just for clarification wise, the outlay right now is just a driveway. It's just a driveway that accesses two parcels. And there you can have two homes on one drive. So I just don't want it to be confused with the roadway right now. It is strictly a driveway.
So if they were to, subdivide the back lots, then it would have to be paved.
It would have to be upgraded at that point in time to do anything further with the rear.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve and authorize the board to sign planning and zoning resolution number 2024-8.
Second.
Second, is there additional discussion? None? Melvin, will you call the roll, please?
Chairman Miller,
Aye.
Supervisors Bell,
Aye.
Shay,
Aye.
Wickman.
Aye.
And Jorgensen.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everybody's time.
Okay, next up, we have Blake Wilson, Executive Director, and Kim Smith, Program and Fund Development Director, Habitat for Humanity, and David Hazelwood, Chief Executive Officer for NeighborWorks Home Solutions. Good morning.
Come on up, Mike. You want us to go front? I was gonna say. I'll just shout over there and say.
It's okay, invited Oscar. Join us here in the front. It's okay. Well, thank you, everybody, for allowing us the opportunity to come and just present today. The agenda is really just to kind of introduce those of you that don't know exactly what Habitat does and how we operate, the programs that we do offer, as well as a brief update with where things are, some of the visions that we have going forward. And then there isn't an official ask today, but we will mention a couple things just for the county's consideration of how you could be of assistance to our mission. We'll talk a little bit about the partnerships that we have established and why David and Oscar are here to chat through what that all looks like, and then hopefully have some time at the end for some questions and answers. So I'll keep it all kind of very 10,000 foot view and go as quick. First up, the programs of Habitat. I'm going to turn this over to my esteemed colleague, Kim Smith. She'll go over kind of the what we do, and then I'll bring everybody around to where things stand. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us today. Just to tell you a little bit about the programs that Habitat Council Bluffs offers, we have 3 programs. We have a home ownership program, a home repair program, and then we operate the Restore. Most people are most familiar with home ownership through Habitat for Humanity. And currently we have several projects going on. You've probably heard about Baldwin Court down on 7th and 1st. And I did bring some flyers that I can share with you that gives you a little bit more information about who qualifies for Habitat. We're looking for somebody that has had steady employment. They make less than 80% household area median income. They can afford a mortgage. They have their collections dealt with, or with a little bit of assistance would be able to be in that position. They work with us over the time while the home is being built, and they do different education classes such as home ownership classes, financial classes. what happens after your home closes, how do escrows work, things like that. Then they also partner with us in sweat equity hours, either working on their own home or working with another place within the community that if they need to do that to accommodate their work hours, sometimes they need that for their shift they're working. We are trying to recruit more people to apply. A lot of people don't think that Habitat is for them, but for a family of four, you could make upwards of $85,000 and still qualify for our programs. So that really does encompass a lot of different people. Anybody in Pottawatomie County is welcome to apply. Currently, we are only building in Council Bluffs. However, that is something that we would like to be able to expand and build more in the rural parts of the county. Our second program is our home repair program. That is a program open to anybody 80% AMI or less who lives in and owns their home. The purpose of this program is to keep people who are housed and to protect the housing stock for next generations. The homes that we do have, if we can keep them in the best possible order, that will be better for everybody going forward. We do have a special part of our home ownership program that is for veterans, and that is for anybody who has a discharge status of anything other than dishonorable. So anything above that, they qualify. For veterans, we do not have an AMI cap. So if there's somebody in need of assistance and they make more than 80%, they are eligible to participate in the program because we have funds designated just for them. This program, again, is open to anybody in the county, and our biggest struggle is sometimes getting contractors to go out into some of the more rural areas, but we have done some jobs in Hancock and outside in the rural areas. So this is something that can help anybody in Pottawatomie County. The last program that we have is our Restore, and that's something that's open to the public. It's shoppable for gently used items, furniture. We love the opportunity to come and take things out of homes that are going to be demolished. We'll oftentimes do that and then sell those items in the Restore. Or when people are cleaning out their garages or completing a construction project and they want to donate, they can bring that to us. And then that's another way that we can support our community by keeping items out of the landfill and offering items to support keeping your home in good maintenance at a lower discounted rate. All the proceeds from that program are rolled right back into our programs that go into the larger community. If you have any questions?
I do. What's your maximum income on that veteran?
There is none.
No?
There's
No
no
income cap.
maximum income. Our other programs are limited by household AMI, but we have veterans funds that are given to us specifically with the stipulation that there are no income guidelines, that any veteran can access them.
You work in conjunction with the Veterans Administration
Yes,
together.
we've talked to them.
You have an MOU
Apply to
with
you, or do they apply to the VA?
They apply to us, but part of what we have recently done with the VA is to make sure that anybody that we're working with, that we funnel them into the VA so that they can meet with somebody who is educated and knows about all the potential benefits for anything they might be dealing with outside of home ownership or even other home ownership funds. So we make sure to refer everybody to there so that they can get some further counseling. And then they also reach out to us if they have somebody that needs assistance, but they don't have anybody to send them to.
I have a house that's actually too big for me. I think downsizing, and I've got furniture, access furniture.
Mhm.
You come and pick it up.
We do. Yes.
I wanted to donate it.
Mhm.
Then is there a tax?
We can issue a receipt. When it gets back, they'll process that and we could just mail it to you. Yeah.
One caveat is, we do come and pick it up, but the furniture has to be brought downstairs or set out front so that we can easily pick it up. We don't come in and physically move it out from its location, just for our own insurance and safety standards. And another difference, something to add on to the home ownership program. We're, sitting here at the table with other home ownership nonprofits, just to differentiate and explain a little bit why we're different. We operate under the same AMI to qualify home buyers. Where our program, we not only build the home, but we are also providing that mortgage. We're doing, Kim and her team are doing the mortgage origination. We are working with our partner over at Habitat Omaha to do the underwriting and to do the lending and then selling that mortgage to say, to recapture the value of the home that was built. So, because our mortgage is in-house, we are really flexible in meeting people where they are to find a way to make it affordable for them. The homes we sell are for an appraised value, so these townhomes, we're getting an appraisal soon, say they're $230,000. That's just a guesstimate right now. That is what the mortgage will be, and we'll,
On 8th Street?
yeah, that's correct.
Mhm.
And we'll back into that mortgage, by starting with, qualifying the applicant with what they can afford, how much in a 30-year mortgage can they afford based on their income.
And based on Habitat
And
guidelines,
based
which ensures that no more than 30% of your gross income goes to your total household costs. So that does include your taxes and insurance.
Yep. And then we find the resources to either find them down payment assistance or even forgive portions of that mortgage over 30 years so that they can't afford the home.
What's the rate on 30 years today?
Through us, it's 2.6.
And that's good for the whole 30 years?
That's
Mhm.
correct.
But you guys got them rubbed out of the monthly payment?
Again, that all depends on what the person can afford. So if they're,
Said 230,000.
that is what the appraised price is. So if you come to me and your income means that meets a mortgage of 175, then that is what your first mortgage is gonna be.
Which is 230.
Hmm?
I can buy the 231.
It is 230,
Right.
but your income only allows you to get a
My
mortgage.
income allows me to do a 230.
Oh, then I would have to sit down and calculate that. I haven't calculated that out. Sorry.
I think the takeaway is, a little bit of the flexibility in what we can do. If you can afford the full 230, we sit down, do the underwriting, do the calculation for that. I'll say what's typical is not folks that come in that can afford 230 from us at 80%.
Appreciate that very
Yeah,
much.
yeah. But it's an interesting point discussion to say, if you can afford the full 230, absolutely we'll sell it to you, should you
Yes.
qualify. If you can only afford 200, absolutely we'll sell it to you, should you qualify. We meet folks exactly where they are and create that mortgage that works for them based on their affordability.
So if they can't, uh, basically complete the mortgage, then what happens?
Should they foreclose or should they move? So, yeah, go ahead.
If they foreclose or if they move, we always try to work with them ahead of time. If they're in a position where they are struggling all of a sudden and they can't make the mortgage payments, we would encourage them and work with them to try and sell or to modify the mortgage, do whatever we could. If it was something where they got transferred and, maybe you were here 10 years and now you're gonna go someplace else and work. We would encourage them and support them selling the home, and then the equity that they have in that will go with them and help them to purchase their next piece of property.
Any down payment assistance, should they move prior to that being forgiven, would be repaid upon that sale, or any forgiven mortgage that we would carry, the silent second, would be repaid upon that sale.
Got a thing on
Exactly. Right.
Yes.
Yep.
it. Thank you.
Where does the additional funds come from? Say like they qualify 175.
Sure.
50 come from.
So I spend a lot of time writing grants and connecting with other funders. There are home funds that are available. There are sometimes private funds. Potawatomi County Housing Trust Fund typically provides some funds. So one of our last mortgages that we did, we ended up having 5 mortgages on it. There was the first mortgage that came through the bank. And then there was home funds, which was 25,000. There were some Iowa West Foundation funds, which were 20,000. There were Pot County Housing Trust funds, which were 11,000. And then because that didn't cover everything, we had a silent second mortgage for about $10,000 that we forgive 1/30th of every year. So if you leave at 10 years, you get 10 years of forgiveness on that. You'll pay us back the 20 years that you didn't live there.
So when you hear things like that, that's an awful lot of subsidy that we're able to provide, obviously. It allows us to look at and consider, one, we're protecting those funds with liens on the property against that buyer should they sell. If they were to sell, they wouldn't be able to recapture that immediately. And secondly, it allows us to open the conversation to say, to consider other ways of doing it. I mean, that's the higher these home prices go, selling them appraised, the bigger the gap in the affordability becomes. So we have to get really creative with how to justify that kind of subsidy. Thing one is, we understand that home ownership is a gateway out of poverty. You start investing in yourself through your home, building equity. You now have an asset that you can leverage, whether it be immediate or 30 years down the road. That in and of itself is a reason to provide support like this. And then another option that we're looking at is changing the ties and Kim could speak more to this, and we're not quite there yet, but because the subsidies are getting so big and we're tying it right now to the individual buyer, we're looking at a process and a means to maybe tying it to the house so that, yes, we can subsidize that buyer to get them in, but those deed restrictions stay on the property so that that home, if it were ever to sell again or become available, wouldn't just turn into market rate housing. It would have some restrictions to it to be sold again to a qualified AMI buyer. So
Yes.
that's the direction we're heading because these subsidies are getting so large.
So then no rent.
Absolutely no rent.
Right,
No.
absolutely no rental.
Yep.
Mentioned the other 4 secondary mortgages on that property. Person stayed in there for 30 years and paid the original job plans.
They're all forgiven.
Expire.
They're all forgiven.
Only after 30 years.
No. Every organization that gives money has their own set of standards, like Potco's is 5 years and home funds are 10. So if you stayed in the house for 15 years, you would have those funds been completely forgiven. You would have 15 years left on ours, and Iowa West was 20. So you would have 5 years left on Iowa West. And so we calculate all of that up so you know exactly how much you owe and how much you'll be taking in equity. But like Blake said, plans that include permanent affordability and tie directly to the home, those are really, I think, the way of the future. If we're asking people to put forward $75,000 in a subsidy, it should extend beyond just one person. And with the way that permanent affordability works, it renews every time the property is sold and there's a shared equity agreement. So you agree to lower the amount of equity you will take with you upon the sale of the home, because you also agree you wouldn't have been in the home without this $75,000 subsidy. So it's just something that we're working on, other affiliates have done, and hopefully we'll be able to bring it here.
Say you represent Potawatomi County, is that correct?
Yes.
Regional office, I mean, how many offices do this Habitat for Humanity have in Iowa?
Statewide, I think there's 20 some affiliates. So it's an affiliated organization. And every affiliate operates under a separate set of bylaws, separate board of directors, separate leadership, completely separate. In Iowa, like I mentioned, I think there's 20 some. We have a state support organization called Habitat Iowa. Obviously, we're in the shadow of Habitat Omaha. They're one of the 2 biggest affiliates in the country, and it's why I partner so closely with them. They have a lot of value in partnership. To have and to create an affiliate, Habitat's been around since like the early 70s, give or take. It's not an old organization. And to create affiliates, you basically had to go to Habitat International in your community and share with them that you had a need for affordable housing. Nowadays, their stipulations are quite a bit tougher than that because that is every community across, every state in the nation. So they look at things like, area population. They look at, say, hey, small town, Southwest Iowa, you might not have enough resources here to carry. Why don't you talk to the 3 surrounding town and, build something, a new affiliate that way? To affiliate now, it's pretty difficult, but there is a pathway. Our technically, our service area is all of Potawatomi and all of Mills County. And what holds us back from doing more is resources, right? Is being able to scale what we're doing here locally, and have enough resources to spread into the rural markets. That is very much our intention, part of our strategic planning. But today being 4 years into this, we're really focusing here in the heartbeat in Council Bluffs, and I'll speak to some of the work we're doing in Minden here in a sec, but very much have it in mind to go and support the communities that are around us that could use our help.
How many new units have you put in place in the last 2 years?
Going back, I started here 4 years ago, Kim 5, we probably built, I think there's 5 in that time, in the
In
years,
2 years,
in 4 years, I think, Kim will answer.
9.
9 total in 4 years.
Yeah.
9 total in 4 years. We have 8 units under construction today, and can pretty much sustain that level of production going forward in the 8 to 10 units, is what our goal is.
Is that what the Baldwin Court is?
Baldwin is 6 of those units currently. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, 9 units that we've closed on and sold. Units that we haven't, we have 6, 7, 8, 9 units right now.
Under construction.
Under
We closed on
construction.
8 in the last 4 years that are done and
9.
sold. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. I'm sorry, Susan.
All us guys are used to that.
Yeah, numbers are hard.
Like
Yeah.
rehabbing a house for a veteran.
Yes, sir.
Is that that's a big deal for you guys?
Absolutely.
It is, we
Lot
just
of
did
money.
2. And because of our funds that we have from this veteran specific, and because of the home repair program, we were able to stack them. So we were able to invest a little over $20,000 into this retired veteran's home whose entire top floor had been cleaned out. He had hired someone to do the work. Instead, he had just taken all the appliances and
And you
things.
say there's no income requirements on that.
Nope, we can serve anybody.
And for vets, we look, like Kim said, we mentioned this, we stack those funds so that we can, a typical home repair project in the $10,000 range. We'll take that 10 and stack it with the resources that we have specific to repairs or to veterans, excuse me. And, a little bit about that repair program. It was just, we started as a pilot here, just 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago now. Kim will speak to the numbers that we've completed, but, it's something in the 50 some projects we've completed to date the last couple of years. And we would like to get to a place where we're completing at least 50 a year going forward. And we have all sorts of layers of support to fund that, from private to public to grant philanthropic dollars.
I heard a mention about a veterans village. Is that something that you are working on or involved with?
It's happening in Omaha.
Are you talking about the one that New Visions is working with?
I think so.
They wrote some funds, and I think it's gonna be in Omaha, right? Just the funds and the land and all of it just works a little better over there, but they'll serve any veterans,
That's
I believe.
something that Habitat for Humanity doesn't partner with.
Those are mostly,
Veterans cases.
if a veteran who uses our services has a home or has a home they are living in. And I believe the majority of that program is for homeless veterans or those needing rapid rehousing. So certainly if anyone reached out to us and was in that situation, we would direct them to the VA and help connect them with those programs as well.
And I think, just mentioning partnerships like that, you know, that we would not be opposed to fielding that phone call and saying, hey, we want to bring something like that here. How does that work? Could Habitat participate? And the answer would be absolutely. We would work towards finding, you know, funding and partnership if something like that were to come available. Even though we are home ownership and home repair, we are focused on, the gamut of affordable housing and what that could look like. And we believe there's a place for Habitat at that table.
But you want to touch on the Minden discussion so we can give it works enough.
Well, if me shutting up means David gets some time, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose that's fair. Yeah, so we answered the call, in working really in the early stages up in Minden, to try and figure out how best we could help rebuild, some of the homes that were lost there. And, through, other partnerships, the city of Minden decided to write for the CDBG, disaster relief dollars, that I believe were put out there back in 2019. But there's still a pool of funds there to support, the cause. And part of that process was, developers writing an RFP to act as the lead developer for, the projects that the city of Minden had in mind. Habitat did that in partnership with Cook Brothers Construction out of Neola. And we were selected as the lead developer for, the construction of 6 new affordable townhomes in Minden. All that means at this stage in the game is we are along for the ride of writing that grant, that federal grant of disaster relief dollars, and working directly with the city planners, the city leadership, and MAPPA, who is administering that grant, writing that grant, and will be administering that grant, to be, again, the lead developer on some affordable townhomes that we're gonna be constructing up there. Those will be a little bit different than our typical project. The sale price on them is already kind of cooked into that grant at $175,000. These will be 2-bedroom, 2-bath, full unfinished basement homes built in the affected area of Minden. So that is our first sort of step out into a rural build in quite some time. Obviously, you know, the need up there was great, and we felt a responsibility to answer that call when those funds were made available. So. And last time we were here, I was here, it was related to those Baldwin Court townhomes. Thank you again for your support of those. You now can see them if you were to drive by and see phase 1. The exteriors are done. We're heading towards inspections this week or next week. So drywall can start. We aim to have those done probably right after the calendar turns in January is our hope. Sold off in January and February. And there is a second phase of those townhomes that come behind it. They're on 1st and 8th. So there's 6 more townhomes that will be built once these are sold.
What's the timeframe on the Minden?
Minden, so the grant won't be sent in until I think the end of November. So we have a really short timeline of getting the grant submitted. And again, that's MAPPA who's handling that. And should it be awarded, then there is the process of environmental review and a lot of the inner workings of that grant to before we can break ground. And I believe that is like a 3-month process. So we're looking at spring to break ground, probably mid-spring to break ground.
Those individual home owners.
They will all be for home
There's
ownership.
A lot of
Those,
rentals out there too.
those will all be for home ownership.
Okay.
Yep. And they will be offered first to anybody affected by the storm, obviously, to purchase. And then should they not sell, they can be sold or be offered to anybody in the program that qualifies.
Will there be deed restrictions on those too?
There is down payment assistance that's available through the grant that would have a restriction based on, I think it's a 5-year, I'm not quite sure. It's either, it would either be 5 or 10 year for the DPA on those.
So it doesn't fall in line with the rest of the properties that have additional mortgages on them, they go away
Because the
and sold as a rental.
It can't, right.
these would not have deed restrictions on them, keeping them from being resold as a rental. Because that's not how they're set up right now. However, the difference is they won't need as much down payment assistance because the price is set at a lower price versus what they would appraise for. So,
And the difference being that they're being built with this, with the subsidy of the federal dollars. So we have to follow the guidelines of the federal money that's paying for it. But it would initially absolutely be set up to become an affordable home for purchase for homeownership.
Mhm.
That's the intent of the grant. And that's, for the majority of folks that do affordable house, there's not, until you start talking about how to recapture that and put deed restrictions on there, that's not typical of, what affordable housing looks like. It is true that a lot of things that once you fundraise and find the means and sell the home, that is that buyer's, equity to have. Because these prices are getting so, that's why we consider, long-term affordability on the property. Navigating a very complicated market. So, ways, just to round it out with ways that, that the county could support, us. Kim mentioned the restore early on, as you guys hear of, construction projects, downsizing, whatever it is that, creates resources that could be donated to our restore for resale. Every penny that we bring into that store, through donated product, we sell and use those proceeds to build more housing. That's the purpose of it. Land, land's a tough conversation, but if there's ever anything that makes sense for Habitat, we work closely with, of course, with David and 712 Initiative and Oscar. We're all sort of out there looking for that opportunity to invest the resources that we have to bring back the tax base and to create housing. So if there are, just units that need demolished or need rescued, we'd be interested in that kind of project. And then, should there ever be means and financial resources, obviously the support of construction project, direct support of construction projects, and the repair program specifically to help us find those financial resources to support that work and save the housing stock. So that's all we have. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Firsthand.
Yes. Yes, and I think just to round out, why David and Oscar and sadly, 712 aren't represented here, I just wanted to kind of share the message that, that there's been a new, housing consortium that's been built here. We're all kind of at the table talking to each other, identifying resources, right sizing resources. I didn't get to mention it, but David and NeighborWorks, they're actually building homes for Habitat starting next year. We've got a really neat project that we're working on together. We are all at the same table making considerations of how we move affordable housing forward in Council Bluffs, not separate, but together, open dialogue, over drinks quite often, figuring out how we best all work together as partners. So as you've heard from us, just our little piece of it. It's a very complicated endeavor, very complicated mission. And we feel that we, can only affect change together. So
You said Council Bluffs.
did I?
Already, yeah. We're looking at the other little towns too.
Habitat specifically can and is. I won't speak for David, and obviously Oscar has his restrictions here in town, but Habitat certainly is looking at the larger Potawatomi County area for sure. Specifically in repair, short term, because we can do that now. Housing is a little more difficult, having to find the land and get things built. So
Coming in.
yeah, you're welcome.
Good morning. My name is David Hazelwood. I'm the CEO of NeighborWorks Home Solution. I'll make this very brief. We're pretty simple. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, single-family development organization. We serve Pottawatomie County, Douglas County, and Sarpy County. We have also looked at extending our boundaries in different areas based on the need for affordability. We're very simple, as I mentioned. We create essential affordable home ownership through single-family development as well as multifamily development. We currently own 10 multifamily complexes. We have one here in Council Bluffs. We have 2 in South Omaha. Then we also have 7 more in the North Omaha corridor. Those are all for rental. So we serve both sides of the road. We do home ownership to create wealth. We also have multifamily development. On an average year, we serve about 11 single-family homes. We do all of our single-family development internally through our housing director. All of our multifamily, we obviously sub out. It's a little bit larger and more complex for us to handle with our very small team. Last year, we invested about $24 million into the Douglas County market in Pottawatomie County. We invested $36 million and some change last year in development. Currently, right now, we are currently wrapping up our final 6 single-family attached townhomes at the Hillside Estates subdivision here in Council Bluffs. That will get us into December, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll deploy our fiscal year 2025 plan. For next year, in Pottawatomie County and in Council Bluffs, we're looking at about, I'd say about 18 single-family developments. As Blake mentioned, we're going to be building 3 bungalows for 712 Habitat and NeighborWorks in a very blighted neighborhood here in Council Bluffs. We're looking at a sales price of about $155,000 for those. We're also trying to secure some funding for down payment assistance for those buyers. We'll be targeting that 80% average median income, which is where we focus generally as a nonprofit, is at that 80% or less, which right now is about an average annual income of $61,350. We also will be doing 2 workforce homes here in Council Bluffs. We haven't set a sales price on those yet. All of our affordable homes have a sales price of $170,000. We do not go over that number. We did a feasibility study in Pottawatomie County and really took a deeper dive than what HUD does as far as what those salaries are for our homeowners. And so, do we subsidize? Absolutely, we subsidize. Do we subsidize the mortgage? We do not, unless we're working with the City of Council Bluffs through the infill program, where we typically deploy about $30,000 of down payment assistance, and that is a forgiven mortgage over a 10-year period. Typically, our buyers come with traditional lending, and we just ensure that they're meeting that front and back debt income ratio, that they're not over 33%. So it's very simple funding mechanism that we deploy there. We are also looking at doing a 150-unit multifamily development complex. We're in the pre-planning stages of that. It's about a $25 million deployment for a project. We have identified Pottawatomie County, we've identified Washington County and Douglas County. We just have not narrowed down exactly where we're going to deploy that entity yet. So as you can see, we serve the areas here in Pottawatomie County and then, of course, in Nebraska. Again, we're pretty simple. We focus on home ownership, as I mentioned, as well as rental. Again, those 364 doors that we have are all affordable. That rent ranges anywhere from a single bedroom at about $500 plus to a 2-bedroom that stay under $1,000. Those typical rents are subsidized in all of our entities. So without going deeper into what our organization does, I'll be happy to field a lot of questions here today.
Where's the 10-plex at?
The 10-plex here off of Digman Road,
Digman
over there
Road.
by St. Paul's Episcopal Church. We're working with a for-profit developer.
It's not built.
Dillman.
No, Dillman, excuse me, Dillman, not Digman, excuse me, Dillman. No, it's not built. There's one setting there.
Okay.
This would be duplexes. There'll be 18 total. 10 of those will be affordable with down payment assistance, and then the remaining 8 will be workforce, so free market.
Okay.
Does the city of Council Bluffs provide any funding for any of you?
No, not for me. So we get block grant dollars for down payment assistance, which is basically a second mortgage that is forgiven over 10 years with a promissory note to ensure that that home stays affordable for a minimum of 10 years.
What's the average amount of down payment assistance?
So typically for us, about 90% or better of our homes are in conjunction with the city of Council Bluffs through the infill program with down payment assistance. So that's $30,000 is what we typically deploy of those block grant dollars.
Okay, no, the average home that you sell, what's the down payment assistance amount?
So I would say roughly, depending on the applicant, I would say on an average of over $20,000.
$20,000
Yes.
down payment
Yes,
for each one.
yes.
You're a heck of a grant writer, or somebody is.
Those
Okay,
block grant
we-
dollars help substantially, yep. It's federal dollars that come through the city and they support Habitat in a similar way.
David, you mentioned, Potawatomi County and a couple counties in Nebraska. Do you have anything on your radar for Pot County?
Absolutely. So we deployed a year ago to single-family affordable homes in Carson. Typically, I would say 99% of all of our homes that are deployed for home ownership, we have buyers before we finish each one of those homes. I have attempted to work with OSI previously in the past in Oakland to try to create some housing for their employees. I do know that Oakland has 100 acres right now. We're hoping to eventually partner with them in the future to do housing. I've had conversations with a builder and trainer. We are looking to do some workforce housing there as well. I'd like to step back into Carson again and very successful there. It revitalized those two neighborhoods. One of the homes were on Locust Street, right across from the school. We actually thought we had an educator that was going to purchase that home, and then the other one's on Central Street. So yes, we have our eyes open in all the rural communities. We're not discounting Minden right now, Macedonia and all of those. So it just really takes a land availability for us to deploy. We have the capital, we have the funds, we're prepared to do that. It has to be very strategic. Obviously, infrastructure is an issue. Roadways are always an issue. In those towns, we want to make sure that we have improved roads. When we deploy these homes, we need to make sure that we have infrastructure. Infrastructure is very expensive nowadays. So as long as we're within the municipality of any one of these rural communities and infrastructure is available for us, we're ready to deploy.
Blake, you mentioned housing consortium with the three groups.
Yeah, iOS Foundation, maybe a year ago, brought a lot of us, developers, financiers, real estate agents,
For-profit.
For-profit, nonprofit, into the room together. Really just with the agenda of how do we build more units? How do we bring more doors to, I think their specific call to action was Council Bluffs, but you know, through the relationships and the energy of that room, it certainly carries out into the county and surrounding area. I think, you know, it's just, you know, it's a matter of resources. We all want to build here. We all want to build in Minden. We all want to build as many homes as we possibly can. But those resources are, of course, absolutely limited. And David's, you know, word strategic there, I think is important in these strategic partnerships with all of us in the room working together to leverage each other's strengths and weaknesses and to that end, find ways to build more here in Council Bluffs. And that's, again, across the spectrum of housing, from rental to affordable to workforce. You know, the margins are better the bigger the home, but even still, we need market rate housing as well. So.
There are a lot of, streets out there, lots that have water going to the house, it's either abandoned, dilapidated. Do any of you, look at tearing down a house, rebuilding on that property? I mean, is that an option that's?
I'll
being
actually
looked
close, and this is in Council Bluffs again, but we're open to taking the resources to wherever there is opportunity. But we close on one of those homes up on Stutzman later this week. It's in massive need of major retaining walls. It's house on the hill's been sitting empty for a while. It's really been a problematic property here in town. And, we're gonna buy it. I got a smoking deal from, the feds actually owned it and we're gonna buy it. And I bought it at a tear down price, just in case we do need to tear it down once we, find the scope and the budget and we, determine whether we build new or we tear it down. So absolutely. And if it makes sense financially, we will renovate the project. In fact, the plan is right now to renovate the project until we start doing the math and getting insight on it. So. Yep.
If the county had $30,000 to $50,000 a year, could you folks tell us the best way to use that?
Absolutely. I think there's many different programs that have already been created that we utilize today and things that we have done with the Iowa West Foundation. It's very simple to determine on the amount of allocations, obviously, the county would like to deploy out there. It's very simple. It's broken down into very parameter-based issues that we faced every day for the cost of residential homes. And that is land acquisition costs, that's construction gap, that's down payment assistance. It's very simple. You could actually throw in other activities such as demolition inside of there. So it'd be very simple to create a program focused around certain parameters where these funds could be deployed and forgiven over a certain amount of time for the nonprofits. There's no need to recreate the wheel, Mr. Whitman. It already exists. We're using programs locally and nationally to do that. That would just be a determination that the county would determine on the cap of annual funds that would be deployed for us to have access to, whether that is for home ownership or rental, and then what those activities are.
I think David listed the buckets, right? Land acquisition is a great use of funds.
There are tax credits for ag land, to make sure it stays ag land. Are there tax credits for land that would be sold to outfits like you for the owner? There need,
Just
federal,
because,
state tax credits.
No,
Okay.
that's just a mechanism that is probably not conducive for the programs that we currently have. We want to make this pathway as simple as possible, obviously for the development and the funding resources that we deploy at any given time, but we also want to make sure that it is resilient for that homeowner. We use two different funding mechanisms, and I think we have full control over each one of those based on who our homeowners are. So we want to make sure that these homes are creating wealth. There's equity from day one inside of those, and it's not a burden. We don't want to see any defaults inside of these. We know that people are going to transition from one location to another, and we have mechanisms inside of there to ensure that most of that is forgivable over the certain amount of time that they've resided in these residents, and that we recapture some of that back so that we can redeploy that back into the next affordable. So it's a very systematic approach that's very chaotic, but it's manageable. And it's not, at the end of the day, it's not putting a burden on our buyers. We know that in society today that a lot of individuals have unbelievable debt. We're trying to control that through financial literacy. We're putting each one of our buyers through these programs. It's a requirement. We're staying with them throughout their journey over the next 10, 15, 30 years. We're ensuring a energy efficient, quality, sustainable home that is livable to them, that is not a financial burden on them.
I would just like to offer that lots of times we talk about finances and what we could put them towards. And one of the things that we typically don't talk about is capacity in people investing in the organization, because it's hard to look, you can look and see, I built these 3 houses with that money. And when you invest in a person, sometimes it's not as easy to make that case. However, I would encourage people to consider what having somebody else to do a job is. When I was invested in, I created the repair program. And since that time, I have raised over $500,000 to invest into over 50 homes in the Council Bluffs, Pottawatomie County area. So something as simple as an investment in a person really can pay dividends in the coming years. So sometimes I think there really is a strong need for investment in the organization's personnel. If they could do more, if they just had a little bit more capacity.
When we talk about scaling this and doing more, it really is those operational considerations that would allow us to do it. It's human capital that allows us to take what we're doing now and go into the rural markets. Or to create programs at the housing authority to support homeownership. I mean, all of the things that you've heard from us, it really is and should be a consideration. Not always, but sometimes we lose sight that it takes people to do the work that we do, not just money.
Well, the county gets, what we figure, edge, 20, 28, $30,000 a year in payment in lieu of taxes. And I'd like to see us use that to enhance these opportunities here. I don't know exactly how we do it. So we ask them to come up with a plan, a 3 or 5 year plan, how we can spend it. Their backbone and move forward with it. I mean, they're not doing us any good sitting there. And I think we've all talked about increasing housing opportunities. This is another opportunity, so.
I think we'd be more than happy to sit down and come up with at least a straw man, put out there and say, this is what we think would help not just maybe our individual organizations, but this community and the county itself, and say, you know, what do you think? And give us something to start with anyway, and then we can, you know, share it with you and adapt as needed.
Now, that's just my opinion. I don't know where everybody else.
I like it.
As long as we can make it, pretty much equal for all the communities.
Yeah, and
That makes a wild card.
right. Any other questions?
Have you done much in Carter Lake?
And lots of repairs,
Lots
lots of repairs.
Good to hear.
Did look at,
Lot
yeah,
more to go.
a lot more to go. We did look at buying some land there and unfortunately that didn't work out. But we have been able to really connect with the community on repairs. So,
We had a partnership with the city of Carter Lake. We passed a $1.2 million TIF at city council a year and a half ago. We had a parcel to do 37 single family development there for a mixed income neighborhood. As soon as city council meeting was over, the seller doubled his price on us, so we could not deploy that development.
Still sitting empty?
Still sitting empty,
is it that big parcel?
right
Right,
next to the
Andre?
apartment complex, yes. Still
We
sitting
tried,
empty.
we looked at buying that too.
Yep.
How much time do you need?
10 minutes?
No, seriously. Come back in a month.
Absolutely.
I'm fine with that.
Thanks for coming
Thank
in.
you all. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the presentation.
Risk manager, discussion and or decision to approve and authorize board chairperson to sign Ryan policy due to change in signing agent. And this letter came in just needing a signature. Is there?
Yes, it just needing the signature is saying that the travelers is changing agents from one person to the next, and that's all it is, just an acknowledgement of they're using this individual now instead of when they had in the past.
So moved.
So Travelers are they a subset of ICAP then, or what is this?
Right, this is the crime policy that the county has. We've
Is
had
it
it for
crime
years.
policy with Travelers or with ICAP?
It's a subset of ICAP, yes.
Okay, good.
So Smith Davis goes to the travelers for the crime policy
Okay.
piece.
And this letter expires in 2 months.
We ever use this insurance, do you know?
Yes, every year we do our insurance renewal.
No, but we ever used it, had a claim on crime.
No,
Okay,
not to my knowledge, not since I've been working here.
I didn't think so.
So we'll need another one of these in January to approve. Looks like they're way behind on this one being effective from January 31st, 2024 to January 31st, 2025.
Right, that's when our renewal policy goes in effect in 2025. So they're changing the agent now for the rest of the year. And then when we do our renewal with Smith Davis and I come in January, we will have a new insurance policy that we bring up. So this is just basically saying that the knowledge of the change in agent, that's it. One person say they retired and this person's coming on board and they're gonna be reviewing all the crap policies.
So we have a motion by Shane, a second by Jorgensen to authorize it. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Garfield.
Thank you.
How do you pronounce that guy's name?
Keith.
That'll work.
There were several. There's several. Thank you. Keith, there's several.
Morning, Dixie.
And his company's called Presidio?
Again,
His company's called Presidio?
Just agree, Garfield.
sure.
That'll work.
All right, moving on.
Or you pay him. Mitch, can you look into that?
Dixie Wilson, Accounting Technician Auditor's Office, discussion and or decision to approve or disallow the following applications made to the assessor's office. Homestead, approximately 359 recommend allowed, 10 recommend disallowed. Military, 36 recommend allowed, 3 recommend disallowed. Disabled veteran homestead, 13 recommend allowed, 1 recommend disallowed. Family farm, 27 recommend allowed, 0 recommend disallowed. Good morning, Dixie.
Good morning. Have you reviewed and do you have any questions on any of those applications?
Most of them are non-residents that are disallowed.
On the 10 homesteads, it was all
Yes.
because their mailing address had changed. Can't say that they're non-residents, but they have to live in the home to receive the credit. Then on the military ones, one of them was for that, the disabled veteran. The veteran no longer lives in the house, so, when he sells his house, the new people can't take his credit. And then the 3 military are for, other reasons that they did not qualify. That's listed in the packet.
Well, it's all the same reason.
Right.
Did we look at the code to make sure that the code hadn't changed? It seems kind of unusual that all of them
We're the same. They're
the same
National Guard
reason, and I
members.
didn't know if there was some confusion, if they're getting information from other sources telling them that they do qualify.
I have not myself worked with the veterans. The VA and the assessor's office are the ones that actually make contact with the people. I just present it to you on top of that. I can always double check, but I'm pretty sure that they would have, especially working with the VA, they would have covered all of their bases and made sure before they turned any down.
I'm sure they.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So Dixie, the letters go out now after we've done this.
I always wait until after I have your approval, and then yes, the letters will be going out.
And then that's when the phone call starts.
It's yeah, that's when, because the letter will state in it exactly when
Right.
it takes place,
Good.
attorney.
Thank you.
Motion by Belt, second by Wickman to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Nancy.
Dixie.
Much longer the auditor's supposed to be here?
I know all of this week and I believe they're working with the holiday. They'll be here sporadically on and off. You know, like they'll be going back home for Thanksgiving and things, but they're coming back.
Come on up, Cody.
Good morning.
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 Cody Payne, Director, Chief Medical Examiner, Investigator / Coordinator. Discussion and or decision to hire Chief Deputy Medical Examiner, Investigator, Coordinator at grade 524, step 5. Hello. So you had some interviews for the position.
Yep, Brian and Jeff, Dr. Ellie and I interviewed a few candidates and we selected one of our current on-call investigators. And we'd like to make her the offer at that step and grade. She's been with our department for about 2.5 years now. She's a really good investigator and currently she's doing a lot of admin work at UNMC. So as far as all of the admin stuff that she could help out with, she'd be a really good fit.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I was impressed with her.
She's a good person.
The status change will follow next week. So we haven't coordinated a start date yet. The status change is not on. You can see it next week and received and filed.
Okay, thanks.
When would she start?
The last time I spoke with her, when we give her an offer letter and then 2 weeks from whenever that's all approved. So if we can give her a call, today, Heather, or whenever, then we can.
We gave her an offer letter, you said.
Not yet. Well, yeah, I wanted to get it approved by you guys
Okay.
first.
Can we get a copy of that offer letter, please?
Can you do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a motion by Belt and second by Shay. There additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Next we have Cody Payne, your Chief Medical Examiner, Investigator Coordinator, discussion and or decision on location of medical examiner office. And I understand you have moved into the public health building.
As of Friday, I guess I moved everything in. Yep. So, go ahead.
Oh, and I was gonna say, there's room for staff for
Yeah,
you.
we have 2 offices in the new building. So one would be for me and then the Chief Deputy Investigator.
So you're in the building. Is there any questions? All right. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks.
Next up, Mitch Kai, Chief Financial Officer. Discussion and or decision to authorize board chair to sign the forgiveness portion of the small town forgivable note for Macedonia.
So move.
Yeah, you first. It doesn't matter.
Well, I think that was your, Scotty.
With me.
Okay,
I'd be happy to do it.
No, too late.
Brian, you want to do the second?
Yeah,
I got,
I'm okay.
I got Brian on the side.
All right, so yeah, most of Macedonia's funds, they went towards their park and playground equipment and stuff like that. I think they gave you a pretty good breakdown of where all their stuff went to. I think also with that, there's a couple radar speed signs they had put up as well. They did a good job, been out and took some photos of it. They did a very nice job with the funds.
Have you taken Ollie there to climb on the tractor yet?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's a really neat
I have.
set. You played on it. Good.
With my granddaughters. Yes.
We have a motion by Wickman, a second by Shay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Right? We have Mitch Guy to authorize the chair to sign the forgiveness portion of the small town forgivable note for Hancock.
So, second.
Yeah, most of the majority of their funds are half of the city bought their ones the county shed from us, and then they did some like sidewalks and stuff around that as well. So they used up their funds.
That all fits within the parameters.
Yep, of the notes that they agreed, they presented to you guys for what they used the funds for, yep, for both.
Okay.
And then after this, I think there's just a handful of towns left that need to get their paperwork to you guys. The money was, and the agreements was supposed to be spent before the end of October, so you should have most of the projects done. I think Avoca has an extension that we'd agreed upon for them specifically, but well, we're gonna get the other ones to you guys as well too.
Great. So we have a motion by Whitman and a second by Belt. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mitch, for your work on those. All right,
And continuing to work.
committee appointments. I attended the What Should Be Committee meeting last week, and that's an internal employee group. And we reviewed the new employee link that's on the website for calling out employees that do exceptional work. And this is an opportunity for the public to talk about their experiences with certain individuals. And it's a really cool function and it works really well on our website. We're just rolling it out, so it's just getting started, but it's an opportunity for the public to call out employees that do good work so that the board can recognize those efforts. Brian.
The Minden Bowl, which I think I said last week. Let's see, the Lost Hills Alliance went up to Pisgah for that meeting. Done the opioid action plan for a long day on Thursday. That was a very long meeting. Board of Health. And then met with the medical examiner too, so.
Yeah, I rode up with Brian up to Pisgah, for the Les Hills Alliance, gave us time to talk about Tim and Scott and, Susan, so appreciate that very much. And also, this time of year, the 10th and the 11th of November, the 10th is the Marine Corps birthday, the 249th anniversary of the United States Marine Corps birthday. I'm a proud Marine Corps veteran, so I always celebrate the 10th. And then on the 11th is Veterans Day. Both Brian and I were out on Saturday, I guess it was, in the Veterans Parade in Council Bluffs. Was always a great time of year for veterans. I'm certainly one, and I certainly appreciate all of our veterans. So, thank you.
For your service. Tim? Scott?
I attended the community opioid meeting. I also attended the vibe deal at the Space Center, which was a really interesting deal. It's probably just too bad there isn't more money to give out. Not sure the gentleman that won, he deserved to win, I'm sure, but not sure he needs the money, but that's a whole different discussion. I attended the Veterans Parade and then I was on a Zoom call with the State Mental Health Hospital.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep,
All right.
Scott, was that one up in
Cherokee.
Cherokee?
Yeah. Looking for patients.
I might drop by.
Well, I kind of slipped in your name.
Thanks.
Public
Wife
comments.
will appreciate that.
Garfield, did anyone sign up for public comment?
Yes.
Let me read my statement here. Okay, now begins our public comment portion of the agenda. In an effort to protect the privacy of individuals and reduce the potential broadcasting of defamatory and/or confidential information, our live broadcast will now end. Information regarding public comments